Welcome back everyone to our third and final session of this Take Control challenge. So we're going to come straight up to standing and have your TheraBand close by. We won't need it straight away, but have it for when we come into the kind of full practice. And we are going to start with the feet hip distance apart and parallel. And then you're just going to lift up the toes and notice how that lifts your arches, and notice what that does to the muscle chain through the legs and into the pelvic floor. And then you're going to spread the toes back down, but trying to keep those arches lifted and an even weighting through all parts of the feet. Lovely. So I'd go into more detail in the feet, kind of in my work with clients, because the feet are connected to the pelvic floor through the muscle chains. So if there's stuff going on with the feet, quite often that can have an effect on the pelvic floor. So we're going to come into a little bit of a warm-up. So we're going to mobilise the pelvis in standing and find our centre and teach the pelvis that there are many ways to move. So you're just going to start by pushing the pelvis from side to side with the hands. Lovely. And you're just, as always, you're going to keep breathing as you do this. So we're not locking out the knees, we're keeping them nice and soft, and we're just pushing pelvis from side to side. Lovely. So in moving the pelvis, we'll be obviously moving the pelvic floor muscles as well. Okay, great. And then calming back to centre. And then we're just going to rotate the pelvis to one side and then the other side. So rotating the pelvis. Lovely. Great. And then we're going to come back to centre, and we're going to exaggerate that movement a bit by stepping forward with the right foot and turning the foot on a side angle. And then we step back, foot cut, the side of the foot comes to face the kind of side of your mat. Forwards, and we step back. And just noticing the range of movement that you've got there. How easy it is to do that. Lovely. Great, and then we'll make this our last one. And then we'll come back to centre. Make sure that your feet are hip distance apart and parallel. We're going to step forward with the left hand side now, and then backwards. Forwards and backwards. Nice. Notice if it's easier on this side, if you've got more movement, does it feel easier or harder on this side? Maybe there's no difference. Maybe both sides feel the same, but we're just noticing. Lovely. Okay, great. And then calming back to centre. Bring the feet hip distance apart again. We're going to lift one side of the pelvis and then the other. So it's like we're lifting just one side of the pelvis to lift the foot off the floor, and then placing it back down. And keep going with this. And come back to centre, and then you're going to bend the knees, and we're going to tilt the pelvis under, tuck it under, and then tilt it back. So tuck the sit bones under and then shine them to the back wall. Lovely. Shine them behind you. And you can have your hands on your hips to really feel what the pelvis is doing. Great. Lovely. And then find your midpoint in between those two positions. So your vagina should be facing down towards the floor, pointing down towards the floor. You want your feet hip distance apart and parallel, and you're evenly weighted through the feet. Nice. And then we're going to work up from the feet. So that's the feet. We're then going to soften the knees. So you can lock them out, lock them right back, and then just soften them. Pelvis should be fairly centered after doing that exercise. And then you want to check in with the ribs. So the ribs want to be stacked over the pelvis. So sometimes we can have a rib flare, and so we want to just bring the ribs over the pelvis. Or sometimes we can be in this position. So we just want to, make sure that the ribs are over the pelvis. So it's like lampshade over bowl is a good one to think about. And then shoulders are on top of that and head is on top of that. And then we're going to bring our balance point forwards onto the front of the feet slightly, but we're not going to scrunch up the toes, keep them nice and soft. It's a whole lean forward with the whole body. So we haven't hinged at the hips and our heels are still on the floor. Lovely. So you can rock back just to standing and then just rock forward again and see if you can feel that through the muscle chains in the body. Nice. And we're obviously coming into dorsiflexion as we rock forward, which is activating the muscle chain through the legs into the pelvic floor. So we're going to do our 3 breaths and our apnea, but we're going to start off with the hands around the ribs. So this is our, we have different arm positions in this standing position, and we have Athena arms and then Venus. But we're going to do it with the hands around the ribs to begin with. So let's just start off with some lateral breathing to begin with, just to warm up the breathing muscles in the ribs and the diaphragm. So when you're ready, you're going to inhale into your hands, into your fingers at the front and your palms to the back. And then you're going to exhale softly and slowly through the mouth. And you're going to think about lengthening the crown of the head up towards the sky on the exhale. You're going to inhale into the ribs all the way round and exhaling slowly through the mouth. Think about growing from the feet all the way up the body. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Keep going with that breathing. Inhaling into the ribs, ribs expand. And exhaling softly and slowly. Inhale into the ribs. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Lovely. We're going to do our 3 breaths and our apnea breath. So if you need to pinch the nose still, then you can do that. But if not, you can keep the hands around the ribs and open the ribs with the hands around the ribs. And then we're going to come into some arm positions and grab the TheraBand. Nice. So when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding, opening up. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Our balance point is still forwards. Inhaling into the ribs, ribs expand. And exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expand. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Think about growing on the exhale. You're going to hold your breath out, pause, soften your belly if that's useful, and then slowly open the ribs or pinch your nose and take that fake inhale. So you're trying to open the ribs nice and slowly. It's a nice controlled slow apnea, which will work more into the slow twitch muscle fibers and the smooth muscle of the pelvic floor, which is about 80% of the pelvic floor. Okay, great. And then breathing in when you're ready. Lovely. Fab. So you may find it's harder in standing to get the ribs to open up, depending on how much engagement you've got through the core. And we're working against gravity. So you're going to grab your TheraBand now, because we're going to bring the hands off the ribs. And you're going to tie your TheraBand around the ribs, tight enough so you've got a bit of feedback, but not too tight to restrict the movement. Lovely. And you're going to check in with your feet again, so making sure that they're hip distance apart. It's roughly like a hand's width or hand's length. And then you want to lift the toes, release the toes back down, keeping that even weighting through the feet. Pelvis is in neutral, ribs are stacked on top, shoulders are on top of that, head is on top of that. And then we rock that balance point forwards, so the whole body rocks forwards, we don't hinge at the hips. We're going to bring the arms out into our low V position. So you're going to bring the arms in front of the body, slightly bend the elbows, think about the shoulder blades spreading away from each other. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expand. And exhale slowly through the mouth as you lengthen and grow through the spine. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding all the way around. And exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Chin is parallel to the floor, listening to that conversation behind. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expand, opening up. Exhale slowly through the mouth. We're going to pause here. Slowly as you can, open your ribs or pinch your nose, take your fake inhale if you need to. You're going to hold it here for as long as you can. Keep reaching those fingertips away, spreading those shoulder blades, and then breathing in whenever you're ready. Lovely. Just give the arms a bit of a shake off. Just release the body. You can take some hip circles in between, just to release the pelvic floor. Lovely. And then coming back into feet hip distance apart, rooting down through all parts of the feet, soft knees, pelvis neutral, ribs stacked on top, shoulders on top of that, head on top of that. Balance point is forwards. We're bringing our hands down into our low V and then they come up into our T position. And arms are slightly in front of the body, elbows slightly bent, stretching the fingertips away. Listen to that conversation behind you and have your chin parallel to the earth so you're looking forwards. And when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand, opening up. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhaling into the ribs, palms face forwards. And exhaling softly and slowly. Think about lengthening on your exhale. Inhale into the ribs all the way round. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause here. Slowly open the ribs, pinch your nose, take your fake inhale. Hold it here for as long as you can. And then breathing in when you're ready. Lovely. Shake the arms off, shake the legs off. Really nice. Great. Fab. And then we're going to bring the arms into our high V position. So all our postural principles apply. And we're bringing our arms up into our Venus arms now. Lovely. Arms in front of the body, slight bend in the elbows, spreading those shoulder blades away from each other. And see if you can start using more the serratus anterior. So think about holding like a tennis ball or something in your armpit. So you're like hollowing your armpit and you're activating here. So see if you can focus on activating there rather than putting too much activation in the front. We want to activate the back, activate that serratus anterior as well. Lovely. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding, opening up. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Think about growing on the exhale. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expand, keep the knees soft. Exhale slowly through the mouth, balance point forwards. Inhaling all the way around the ribs. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open your ribs, taking your fake inhale if you need to. Hold it here for as long as you can, and then breathing in when you're ready. Lovely, let's release the arms, just release the legs off. And let's bring the arms up over the head and then hold on to the right wrist with the left hand. And we're going to just take a lateral bend, and we're going to keep breathing here. And you're going to breathe from that armpit all the way down to the hip. So you're going to send the breath where you can feel the lengthening of the muscles. And you're going to keep breathing here. Nice. So we're just taking a stretch in between our Venus and our Athena pose. Lovely. And then coming back up to center, take the other wrist with the right hand and then draw them over to the right hand side. And just breathe here. Use that breath to lengthen those muscles more. Lovely. Really nice. And we'll do 2 more breaths, really reaching up, making sure that you're not dumping down in this side too much. You're keeping length in both sides. And then we can come up, release the arms down. Great, lovely. So we're going to come into our Athena arms now. So our feet are hip distance apart and parallel. Knees are soft, pelvis neutral, ribs stacked on top, shoulders on top of that, head on top of that. Our balance point is forwards. Going to bring the arms out to the side. We're going to rotate the thumbs down to the earth. We're going to bring the arms round an imaginary beach ball. We're going to think about spreading the shoulder blades away from each other. Elbows are drawing out to the sides a little bit into some imaginary resistance. And we're dropping back to 30%. So if you go full force at everything, 100%, you're very sporty and you give it your all, I want you to drop back more than you think you should drop back. Lovely. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Think about floating up towards the sky on the exhale. Inhaling all the way around the ribs. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhaling into the ribs so they hover in front of the hips. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause here. Open the ribs. Pinch your nose, fake inhale. Keep your hands shoulder distance apart so the fingers aren't close together. We've got space in between the hands, so we're opening up through the chest. Lovely. Breathing in when you're ready, and then releasing the arms off. Nice. Okay, great. And then we're going to bring the arms up into our second arm position. So no higher than the shoulders, in front of the chest or in front of the breasts. And our balance point is forwards onto the front of the feet. Listening to that conversation behind us. Shoulder blades spreading, elbows drawing out to the side. And then just find some softness in the pose. So we've got engagement, but softness through it. Lovely. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand, opening up. And exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the ribs. Ribs expanding. And exhale, misting up that window. Inhaling into the ribs all the way round. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause, slow as you can, open your ribs, nice and controlled and slow. Hold it here. Breathing in whenever you need to. Great, you're going to release the arms. We're going to take a bit of diaphragm release before we come into that last arm position and see how that feels. So it's easier to do this when you're forward folded. So if you are okay to come into a forward fold position, this is easier to get the fingers up and under the rib cage. So you can take as much of a bend in the knees as you need to. And you're taking your fingers underneath the ribs. And you're massaging from the top, from the xiphoid process, all the way down that rib angle. And just, if there's any tension, you can stay there. Take a nice big inhale there. And exhale, just to soften into that a little bit more.
Use the fingers to massage however you like really in this position. Okay, and then we're just going to release the hands down. Just take an inhale at the bottom and then exhale to come back up.
Just come back up slowly. We'll just take a moment here. Make sure no one's dizzy from doing that. Great. So you can do that for a little bit longer, and you've probably found that you can really get your hands underneath there when you're in that forward folded position. So we're going to bring the hands into our first arm position again, through second and up into third. So they're kind of in line with the hairline. If you're looking in front of you, you can just see your fingers in your peripheral vision, and your balance point is forwards. Lovely. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs expanding, opening up, and exhaling slowly through the mouth. Think about growing on the exhale. Balance point is tipped forwards. Inhale into the ribs expand. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhaling into the ribs expanding. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Slowly open the ribs. Pinch the nose. Fake inhale to get the ribs to move. Hold it here. Keep the hands shoulder distance apart. Shoulder blades spreading. Breathing in whenever you need to. Release the arms. Okay, great, lovely. So we're going to come into Artemis now. So it's a hip hinge position. So there's a couple of ways that I cue to come into it. So do these with me, and I'll and then see which cue you prefer, and I'll try and take a look at you all to see which cue has brought you into the correct posture or alignment. So you're going to hold some flowers out in front of you. You're going to push a drawer shut with your bottom, and then you're going to bring the heels of the hands onto the top of the thighs, and your fingers are going to face towards each other. Elbows out towards the sides, and then you're going to bring your balance point forwards onto the front of your feet slightly, same as in standing, as we did in standing, and then you're going to take your gaze down towards the floor, but about a kind of a meter and a half in front of you, so your head and neck is in line with your spine. Lovely. So we shouldn't have any rounding through the spine. So I'm actually going to bring you all in another way and see how that feels and looks for some of you. So some of you look fine, and then you can decide which ones you prefer, or if I can see which ones have worked better for you, I'll let you know. So this other one, we're going to put the pinky fingers into the hip crease, and then we're going to lift up and over them. And imagine that we are lengthening through the spine to look for someone below a cliff. And you're going to come into a kind of a 45-degree angle. So fold at about 45-degree angle, or even 35. So just making sure you've lengthened through the spine, and then looking about a meter and a half in front of you. Balance point is forwards. And then your heels of your hands have come to the top of the thighs, and they're resting on the top of the thighs. So these heels of the hands onto the top of the thighs. Lovely. If you can, bring your fingers to face towards each other, if that works for your wrists. If not, you can come down at a little bit of an angle. Lovely. Okay, great. I'm going to let you all come out, and we'll come back into it again to do the breath work. Lovely. So we're really lengthening the posterior chain in this position. So we're getting some length in the spine, and in the obviously in the back of the legs. So you're probably gonna, the more you've been doing this, or the more you do this posture, the more flexibility that you gain. You might find that you can come down a little bit further into a deeper fold, and straighten up the legs a little bit more. But to begin with, this angle will probably be enough, but you can then start to play with coming into it a little bit deeper, and you really feel that lengthening through the posterior chain. We're just going to do a round of lateral breathing, and then we'll do the lateral breathing with the apnea. So either using your pinky fingers into the hip crease, lifting up and over, looking for kind of someone below the cliff, keeping length in that spine, or holding your bunch of flowers, push the drawer shut with your bottom, lengthen through the spine, heels of the hands come to the top of the thighs. Our balance point is forwards, and we're looking about 1.5 meters in front of us. Lovely. Okay, great. Nice, I'm just having a look at everyone. So you're going to do some lateral breathing. So you're going to inhale all the way around the ribs, and then exhale slowly through the mouth. Inhaling into the ribs all the way around, and exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding. Exhale slowly through the mouth. And we'll do one more lateral breath and we'll come out of it. Inhale all the way around the ribs, and then misting up that window. Lovely. And then coming back up out of the pose. Lovely. How's that feeling for everyone? Can you feel that can you kind of feel that lengthening in the posterior chain? Through the spine, maybe through the back of the legs. So yeah, so we're getting that lengthening in this posture. Okay, lovely. So we're going to come into that again, and we're going to do the apnea in that position. And what I suggest maybe doing is softening the belly before the apnea, and see how that feels. So coming into it, holding that those flowers, push the drawer shut with your bottom, or you can lift up and over the pinky fingers, and then balance point is forwards. So you're lengthening through the spine. You've got that natural curve in the lumbar spine. You're looking about 1.5 meters in front of you. Lovely. Your elbows are out to the sides, heels of the hands are on the top of the thighs, and then our shoulders are away from our ears. So we drop the shoulders back down. Great. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expand, opening up, and exhaling, misting up that window. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expand, and exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling all the way around the ribs, really into the back of the ribs. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause here, keep that balance point forwards, soften the belly, open the ribs away from each other, taking the fake inhale if you need to. Hold it here, and then breathing in whenever you're ready. Lovely, and calming out of it. Nice, lovely. Let me just check the time. Okay, great. So we're going to run through. We're going to run through a flow, a standing flow. So it's probably going to be 5 to 10 minute standing flow, and then we'll do a little cool down. Okay, so we're going to start in our low V position. Feet at hip distance apart and parallel. Just before we get going, if you've done hypopressives before and want to grab your ball, you're going to place your ball in between your thighs, and you're going to inhale to release on the ball, exhale to squeeze on the ball, and then you're going to squeeze on the ball as you do your apnea. Lovely. So bringing your feet hip distance apart, spreading out through all parts of the feet, lock the knees out, then soften them. Pelvis is in neutral, ribs are stacked over the pelvis, shoulders on top of that, head is on top of that. We bring our whole balance point forwards without hinging at the hips, and keep the toes soft, keep the heels rooted. Going to bring the arms into our low V position, bend the elbows slightly, bring the arms in front of the body, spread the shoulder blades away from each other, reach the fingertips away. Lovely. When you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding, opening up, And exhaling slowly through the mouth as you lengthen from the feet all the way through the body. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expand. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhaling into the ribs, ribs expanding. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause here, soften the belly, slowly open the ribs, pinch your nose, take your fake inhale. Keep the palms facing forwards, keep your arms in that low V. And then breathing in whenever you're ready. Lovely. You're going to bring the arms up into your T position. Keep that balance point forwards, reach the fingers away. You're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expand. And exhale slowly through the mouth, lengthening through the body. Inhale into the ribs all the way around. And exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Inhaling into the ribs. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Expand the ribs. Fake inhale if you need to. Hold it here. Breathing in whenever you're ready. Lovely. We're going to bring the arms straight up into our high V position. So we might be able to feel it in the arms now. Reach those fingertips away. Spread the shoulder blades apart. Soft elbows. Balance point is still forwards. Pelvis is still neutral. And then find some softness as we drop the shoulders down. Inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the ribs. And exhaling softly and slowly. I want you to breathe into your back now. Inhale into the back of the ribs. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause here. Soften the belly. Open the ribs. We'll take your fake inhale, hold it here, and then breathing in whenever you're ready. Nice. We're going to bring the arms down, and then we're going to bring the arms into our Athena arms, thumbs down to the earth, round that big beach ball, hands shoulder distance apart, shoulder blades spreading, elbows into that imaginary resistance. Balance point is forwards, pelvis is in neutral, listening to that conversation behind you. And then when you're ready, you're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expand. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Just bringing your hands closer towards your hips. Inhale into the ribs. And exhale softly and slowly. Inhale all the way around, breathing into the back of the ribs. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Pause here, open the ribs. Keep your chin lifted, parallel to the floor. Listen to that conversation behind you, breathing in when you're ready. Great, lovely. Then we're going to just bring the hands up into our second arm position. Balance point is forwards. Lovely. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale all the way around the ribs. And misting up that window. Inhaling, ribs expand, balance point is still forward, knees are soft. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pausing here. Soften the belly if you need to. Slowly open the ribs as slow as you can. Breathing in whenever you're ready. Lovely, great. Going to release the arms. Nice. We're going to come into Artemis. Okay, so you're going to either hold your arms out in front of you, push the drawers shut with your bottom, or you're going to bring your pinky fingers into the hip crease and lift up and over them. Heels of the hands come to the top of the thighs. Feet are parallel, hip distance apart, balance point is forwards, shoulders are away from the ears, hands face towards each other as they rest on the top of the thighs. Yeah, lovely. Lovely. And then balance point is forwards and you're looking about 1.5 meters in front of you. These look really nice. Lovely. You're going to inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand, opening up. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the back of the ribs. And exhaling softly and slowly. Inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pause here. Open your ribs, pinch your nose, fake inhale, slowly opening the ribs. Hold it here, balance point is still forwards, and then you're breathing in whenever you're ready. Really nice, and then you're coming out of that position. Let's bring the feet a little bit further away from each other, and we're going to take some hip circles. Lovely. Just releasing everything off. Coming into some more fluid movement. And we can go one way and just keep breathing. And then the other way. Really nice. And then just trying to do a figure of 8. Never my strong point, coordinating a figure of 8. Really nice, lovely. And then just shaking the arms off, shaking the legs off. And that is our practice complete. Lovely.